So the combinations in which the bonds are formed between lithium varies. This is a theory called electron gas theory that explains the metallic conduction in metals. What is this called, sir? Electron gas theory that explains the metallic
conductance.
Hello? Sir, you got stuck.
Sir, you got stuck, sir.
Sir, network problem. Hello.
सर चले गए.
I don't know, we got disconnected, I think. Hello?
Yes.
Hello,
sir.
can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we
Yes,
can
I
hear.
think we got disconnected. I was talking to you about how metallic bond forms. In metal, it seems all the nuclei of the atoms and their core electrons remain fixed, but their valence electrons keep on moving. Momentarily, they make a type of covalent bonds between two atoms, and their position keeps on changing. Therefore, there is a free electron gas-like thing between these kernels. They are called kernels. This is called electron gas theory that explains metallic bonding. In one way, it is looking like a covalent bond, but this is not fixed. Notice that this is electron gas theory, and this can explain the properties of metals. But now we can apply molecular orbital theory. According to molecular orbital theory, the atoms of the metal, their atomic orbitals combine to give molecular orbitals. The molecular orbital will cover more than one nucleus. Atomic orbital covers only one nucleus, you know that. So several molecular orbitals are formed, and the energy of all these molecular orbitals is very close. As many molecular orbitals are formed, same number of anti-bonding molecular orbitals are also formed. They have high energy. And now, if all the molecular orbitals are not fully filled, if they are filled partially, then the electrons can easily move in the gap. This movement of electrons will give them conductance. Or else, the filled molecular orbitals, if all are full, if they are overlapped with anti-bonding molecular orbitals, so many atomic orbitals combine to give so many molecular orbitals. So many molecular orbitals energy is so close that they make something like a band. In this band, if this is not fully filled with electrons, then the electrons can move into the empty band, empty part of the band. Or else, sometimes if it is fully filled, hello, can you hear me, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Hello, sir. Yes,
No,
we can hear you.
Yes, sir. Now what happens? If the filled band, if it is fully filled, is overlapping with the empty anti-bonding molecular orbital band, then also electrons can freely move. Such situation leads to a good conductor. If this band, valence band is full with electrons, if the anti-bonding molecular orbital energy band is empty, but it is far off, then the electrons cannot travel. Therefore, it is called as an insulator. If the energy gap between this filled band and empty band is close, you can overcome it by raising temperature. Therefore, at low temperature, it is an insulator. At absolute zero, minus 273 degrees centigrade, it is an insulator. But if you raise the temperature, electrons can move by crossing the energy barrier. Then that is called semiconductor. So these are four variants. Those which can conduct current excellently well are superconductors. Those who can conduct within the range of 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 7 Siemens per meter are conductors. 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power 4 Siemens per meter are semiconductors. Very low, 10 to the power minus 20 to 10 to the power minus 10 Siemens per meter are insulators. And their properties can be explained using this band theory. Are we very clear about it, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Now, we are looking mainly at the semiconductors. Semiconductors, you can take 14 group element like germanium, like silicon, which are making, say, 4 bonds, but these bonds are not so strong, and also the energy gap between the filled molecular orbital band and the empty valence band is somewhat very close. Therefore, they can act like semiconductors. Notice that this ability to act like semiconductors, is limited. Intrinsic semiconductors, by themselves, they are semiconductors, but their ability to act as semiconductors is really limited. Now, what I do is, I can make a powerful semiconductor. Anybody is sharing the screen? Hello?
No, sir.
Why we are getting a different, somebody is sharing their screen. Anyway, okay. Now I was wondering, well, the germanium is an intrinsic semiconductor, but that is not very good in its nature. I take a germanium and I try to add an impurity. Adding impurity is called doping. As I said in my video, to tobacco powder of a cigarette, they take out the cigarette powder and add some material called charas, opium, etc. When they add this and refill the cigarette and smoke, that gives strange feelings. And there are people who are addicts to this. They are called drug addicts. And possessing any such a drug is illegal and a serious crime. In Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, if anybody is having any such narcotic, immediately they cut the hands and head on the spot. A very serious punishment they give. Doping means adding impurity like that. But in chemistry, in semiconductors, doping means adding a foreign impurity. To 14th group element, I will be adding a 15th group element, say arsenic as an impurity. If I add arsenic as an impurity, notice that if it is simply a silicon, every atom is making 4 bonds and it is happy. But if I am adding arsenic as an impurity, as you would see, this arsenic is belonging to 15th group, nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. This arsenic fellow has an extra electron, you can see extra dot. That extra electron can freely move throughout the lattice, and that gives an excellent semiconducting property. Because any conductor conducts electricity due to movement of electron. Here also the electron is freely moving and causing conductance. I call it as normal type semiconductor, N type. On the contrary, if I am adding a 13th group element like boron, that has only 3 electrons in the valence shell. So the boron is making 3 normal bonds with neighboring silicons, but there is no electron to make 4th bond. The boron is not able to make 4th bond. Instead of making a bond, it is sharing the silicons, neighboring silicons 1 electron. Therefore, into this empty space where there is a deficiency of electron, neighboring electron can come. When the neighboring electron comes, here you get a gap, hole. Like that, due to the movement of this electron, there will be a movement of hole. and that also conducts current. It is called p-type semiconductor. So to a 14th group element, if I am adding 13th group element, I get p-type semiconductor. If I add a 15th group element, I get a n-type semiconductor. Sometimes what I do is I
Sir,
try
once
to
can you explain again, sir?
hello.
Once can you explain again, sir?
I
Did
don't
not
know. You are
understand.
waiting to ask the statement which I can't help.
Did not
Okay,
understand.
let me make my point very simple. I will write down here. Yep. Germanium, silicon, etc. are semiconductors. Now, these are in 14th group. These are 14th group elements. Do you know what are 14th group elements? Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. They are weak semiconductors. Now, if I add a small amount of a 15th group element, can you choose any 15th group element? In 15th group, I have nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. You can't
Sir,
add
can you,
because it is a gas. You can add any of these. What do you want to add, sir? So you want to add bismuth. Here, silicon is making 4 bonds with neighboring silicons. Silicon is making 4 bonds with neighboring silicons. So it is happy.
sir, can you move the paper upwards?
Silicon
Yes, sir.
is making 4 bonds with 4 silicons. Can you see this silicon is making 1 bond here, 1 bond here, 1 bond here, 1 bond here. 4 bonds. Even this silicon is making 1 bond, 2nd bond, 3rd bond. Everybody is making 4 bonds, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now in this silicon, what you are doing is you are adding arsenic as an impurity or you are adding bismuth as an impurity. This bismuth has 5 electrons in the valence shell.
Sir, move your paper up, sir.
2. This bismuth has 5 electrons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you see that? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Now, out of these 5, this fellow is making a bond with neighboring silicon. This fellow is making a bond with neighboring silicon. This fellow is making a bond with neighboring silicon. This fellow made a bond with neighboring silicon. But there is an extra electron because bismuth has 5 electrons. This extra electron can move in the crystal lattice and it can cause conductance. So whenever a 14th group element is added with 15th group element like phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, this fellow is making usual number of bonds and also has an extra electron. That extra electron gives better conductance. This is called as N-type semiconductor. Why it is called N-type means like any other normal conductor, it is conducting current due to movement of electrons. So this is method of adding an impurity of 15th group element to a 14th group element is called doping. Sometimes, to silicon, which is like this, you are adding boron as an impurity. What you are adding, sir? Boron. Boron is in 13th group. 13th group has boron, aluminum, gallium, indium, thallium. All these 13th group elements have 3 valence electrons. This boron also has 3 valence electrons. 1, 2, 3. 4th electron is not there. So here it made a bond, here it made a bond, here it made a bond. And every silicon makes 4 bonds. Now the problem is boron cannot make a 4th bond with the silicon because it does not have electron. It is a
Sir, no voice, sir.
Sir, you're muted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
We got disconnected for about 45 seconds. I don't know. I'll check up with the internet fellow. Anyway, sir, when boron is doped with silicon, the fourth bond could not be formed fully. There is a empty hole. Into this hole, neighboring electron may come. When it comes here, it becomes a hole. So whenever I am doping a 14th group element with a 13th group element, I am getting a good semiconductor which conducts current due to moment of hole. You understand, sir, why the hole is created? Because the 13th
Yes, sir.
group element has one electron short. Ladies and gentlemen, whenever any 14th group element is doped with boron, aluminum, gallium, indium, thallium, I am getting a semiconductor that has a hole in place of electron. Therefore, this is called P-type semiconductor. P means positive hole. Nowadays, so many types of semiconductors are being developed by generating as many electrons as 14th group elements have. 14th group element has 4 valence electrons. In order to get 4 valence electrons, you can take a 13th group element which has 3 valence electron and a 15th group element that has 5 valence electron. 3 plus 5 average is how much, sir?
4.
So you are trying to induce an average 4 valency, but these 5 cannot make a perfect 3 covalent bonds. There will be some excess of electrons that can cause wonderful conductance. So you can take any 13th group element, boron, aluminum, gallium, indium, thallium. You can combine with any 15th group element like nitrogen, phosphorus, arsenic, antimony, bismuth. And the combination of these will give a type of semiconductor. Also, you can take a 12th group element that is zinc, cadmium, mercury. And you can add a 16th group element that is sulfur, selenium, tellurium, etc. For example, zinc blend ZnS is a semiconductor. Okay, sir? Mercury HgTe is another semiconductor. Any combination of 12th and 16th group elements will induce. This has 2 valence electrons. It has 6 valence electrons. 2 plus 6 average is also 4. So by combining 12th group element with 16th group element, or by combining 13th group element with 15th group element, one can make semiconductors. And these semiconductors are wonderful materials that revolutionized the electronic industry in recent times. If there are no semiconductors, there would be no modern electronic devices. All the development in electronic industry is originated in our knowledge of chemistry. Though everybody is nowadays neglecting chemistry, and fundamentally they could have not been developed if there is no development in chemistry. Here I want to point out, a material cannot be always a semiconductor. There are compounds like VO, VO2, VO3, TiO3. These materials, these compounds, these solids, they can behave like a conductor, they can behave like a semiconductor, they can behave like an insulator, all the properties they show depending on the temperature. If you vary the temperature, the same material can be all these 3. So what are the examples of compounds that can be conductors, insulators, semiconductors depending on temperature? Means these are the examples. So this is a note on electrical properties of solids. Summary. Electrical properties of solids can be like superconductors, conductors, semiconductors, insulators, based on the quantity of conductance they have. Same material can all of these depending on the temperature. These are the examples. Their conductance is explained on the basis of facility of electron move between the bands, valence band and empty band. These bands are formed by closely spaced molecular orbitals with respect to energy. So many molecular orbitals are generated from the atomic orbitals of all atoms of metal. If they are very close and if they are half filled, then that will be a conductor. If the valence band and the empty anti-molecular orbital band, if they overlap, then also it can conduct current. If the filled valence bond and empty anti-molecular orbital band are close but not overlapping, you get a semiconductor. If they are wide apart, you get an insulator. That is the basic explanation. Also, metallic bond can be understood in terms of electron gas theory. I explained you what it is. Are we clear about it, sir? Hello?
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Now we are looking at magnetic properties, sir. The magnetic properties are fivefold. What they are, let us see. Magnetic properties can be like some material can be attracted by external magnet. You are attracted by external walking magnet on the road because you are unpaired. Had you were married, you will not be attracted by walking magnets on the road. Yes or no, sir?
Yes, sir.
So notice that this attraction is not very strong. You are not going to fall on the walking magnet on the road. You simply see and enjoy. That's it. You don't even talk. Just you will observe and go in your way. There is a mild attraction. Naturally, all the atoms, all the ions which have unpaired electrons are attracted by external magnetic field. They are called paramagnetic. You will be wondering why they are weakly attracted by external magnet if they have unpaired electron. I would say that in class 9th, you might have studied about solenoid. Have you studied about solenoid, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir. Sir.
If you take an iron nail and just wind it with a wire and pass current, the iron nail will develop magnetic field and it become a magnet. It will start attracting your pins and coins. Have you ever observed, sir?
Yes, sir.
Take a nail, just wind a wire around it and pass current. Immediately, the iron nail will become magnet. The solenoid principle is used in your fan. Fan rotates because whenever an electric field and magnetic field come in contact, they generate rotatory motion. In your fan, they put so many solenoids which generate magnetic field. That magnetic field will come in contact with electric field that eventually causes rotation of the motor. You know that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, wonderful. If an electron, which is a charged particle, electron has particle nature and wave nature. If a charged particle is rotating, because electron has spin moment, it can have clockwise spin, anti-clockwise spin. So if an unpaired electron is spinning in its axis, if an electron is also spinning in the orbital, maybe this is a dumbbell-shaped p orbital, maybe it is a spherical s orbital, maybe it is a double dumbbell d orbital, whatever. The orbital motion or the spin motion of electron, both can generate a magnetic field. Mainly spin motion of electron, slightly orbital motion, both will cause magnetic field. If you have some current, if you have another person has opposite current, naturally you are attracted. If you don't have any current, you are not attracted by walking magnets, mind you. Basically, you should be a male to get attracted towards female. If you are not a male nor a female, there will be no serious attraction, mind you. Notice, any system that has unpaired electron moving, rotating in its own axis due to spin or orbital motion generate a magnetic field. This magnetic field is attracted by external magnetic field. This type of behavior is called paramagnetic behavior. More unpaired electrons it has, more paramagnetic behavior it shows. As more valence electrons a metal has, more electrical conductance it will show. In your previous talk. For example, if I take lithium and aluminum and iron, iron has more valence electrons, so iron is better conductor than lithium. Can we think like that, sir? More electrons are involved in valence level, more unpaired electrons, especially more conductance. Here also, more unpaired electrons with parallel spins, more magnetic fields are generated, and that causes better attraction with magnet, external magnet. That behavior is called paramagnetic behavior. On the other hand, if you have electron pair, one electron is spinning in one direction, another electron spins in opposite direction. Magnetic field generated by first electron is cancelled by the second. Therefore, such material is in fact not attracted by external magnet. In fact, it is repelled by external magnet. It is called diamagnetism. Yeah, because it's already paired. Suppose you are married with a beautiful girl and you, your wife are walking on the road. Now you will not be attracted by walking magnets. If you are attracted by walking magnet, what happens, sir? Hello?
No, call.
Your wife will break your legs, any doubt?
No doubt, sir.
Therefore, sir, if it is already paired, one magnetic field generated by one electron is cancelled by other. Such material is repelled by external magnetic field. That is called diamagnetic. Ladies and gentlemen, the chromium +6 has 0 unpaired electrons. The Zn +2, all electrons are paired. Copper plus all electrons are paired. Sir, how do I know? Zinc atomic number is 30. If I write its configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d10, 4s2. Does it have any unpaired electrons, sir? All are pairs only, right?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, if you are writing the configuration of Zn +2, you are removing 4s electrons. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d10. Does it have any unpaired electrons? Nothing. You write the configuration of iron atomic number 26, 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2. Can you see its configuration? Do you know how to write the configuration of iron, by the way?
It is 21 and sir.
Iron is 26. Here you have written 10 electrons.
20 total.
3p6. So first you write 3p6,
3D,
3d6, 4s2.
4s2.
After 3p electron will go to 4s. After 4s it will come to 3d. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 3d6, 4s2. Can you see how many electrons it has? Hello. Here you have 10. Here you have 40. Here you have 2.
Two.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3d6 means the electrons are like this. 3d6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have to write like this according to Hund's rule. How many
Yes.
unpaired electrons it has? How many?
4.
Therefore, because it has 4 unpaired electrons, it is attracted by magnetic field. Can you see it, sir? Hello?
Yes, sir.
But irony is very crazy. You are not only seeing a girl who is walking on the road, you are not getting slightly attracted. You are going to fall on that girl. If you do that, what happens, sir? They will break your legs immediately on the spot, book a case against you. My God, your mother and father will scold. Please don't do that for God's sake. Such a strange behavior iron will show. Iron, cobalt, nickel, all these are dirty rocks. They will fall on the magnet and stick to it. It is difficult to separate them. Such behavior is called ferromagnetism. What is it called, sir?
Ferromagnet.
Magnetism.
Ferromagnetism is not a property of individual atoms. In fact, the magnetic field of individual atoms, millions of atoms join together and they pounce on the magnet. Whereas paramagnetism is a property of individual atom or ion. In individual atom or ion, the unpaired electrons slightly get attracted to external magnetic field, keep quiet. See, if you are looking at oxygen, oxygen molecule has 2 unpaired electrons according to molecular orbital theory. The ferrous ions have, say ferrous ions, not iron metal. Ferrous ions have 4 unpaired electrons. Manganese +2 ion has 5 unpaired electrons. chromium plus 3 ion has 3 unpaired electrons. Any fellow who has unpaired electrons is weakly attracted by external magnetic field called paramagnetic. Any noble gas atom or second group metal or ion like chromium plus 6, Zn plus 2, Cu plus or Hg2 plus, all these ions which do not have unpaired electrons are repelled by external magnetic field. They are called diamagnetic. Some crazy elements like iron, cobalt, nickel, they are not just attracted by external magnet. They are sticking to it and it is difficult to separate them. My God. Such behavior is called ferromagnetism. Are we clear about it, sir?
Yes.
Hello? Hello?
Clear, sir.
Yes,
Now
sir.
there is a wonderful
Yes, sir,
question.
clear.
Yes, sir.
Seven's paramagnet.
Paramagnetism means any atom or ion. Hydrogen, it has one electron that is unpaired. Lithium, it has one electron that is unpaired. Aluminium, 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 6,
Three.
3s2, 3p. What is the configuration of aluminum, sir? Aluminum has 13 electrons.
1s2,
1s2,
2s2,
2s2,
2p6,
2p6,
2p3.
2p6, 3s2,
3s2, 3p1.
3p1.
This aluminum also has unpaired electrons. Anybody who has unpaired electrons, the unpaired electron, when it is spinning in any particular direction, spinning charge can generate magnetic field. This magnetic field is attracted by external magnetic field, and that weak attraction is called paramagnetism. So aluminum is paramagnetic, hydrogen atoms are paramagnetic, carbon is paramagnetic, nitrogen is paramagnetic, oxygen molecule is paramagnetic, Mn plus 2 ion is paramagnetic, Cr plus 3 ion is paramagnetic. Anybody who has unpaired electrons is paramagnetic. More unpaired electrons is more paramagnetic. It is a weak attraction. If I am looking at helium gas,
Sir, in
if I-
ferromagnetic also we'll have
right,
unpaired.
man, if you are looking at helium gas, if you are looking at noble gas atoms, if you are looking at benzene, if you are looking at Zn plus 2, Cu plus, Cr plus 3, all these fellows have no unpaired electrons. They are repelled by external magnetic field. They are called diamagnetic. Whereas the third category is called ferromagnetism. In ferromagnetism, individual atoms, electrons, magnetic fields, they combine together and they make groups. See here, all the iron atoms, magnetic fields combine together it will become a very strong force. So such a strong magnetic field generated in the iron by all the atoms together, each fellow is called a domain. Domain means, say, 100 iron atoms, magnetic fields unite together, that makes one a pair. This is 100, 100, 100, 100, 100. All 100 units of, say, yeah, instead of 100, you can think 1,000, you can think 5,000. So many atoms, magnetic fields, all the domains combined together that will become very strong magnetic field, which is perfectly attracted by external magnetic field, and it will stick to it. We can see, some boys, they not only look at the girls, they try to meddle with them, and they always create a nuisance. Have you
So
ever
your
seen
video is off,
people?
sir.
Have you observed such people in the society? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is the ferromagnetic. Now, if you are looking at some other materials, that is called as anti-ferromagnetic materials. In anti-ferromagnetic materials, the domains all will not join together. See, in the second diagram, you can see the domains are not joining together. What happens is, first 100 is saying, go and get yourself attracted to magnet. The second 100 is saying, shut up, keep quiet. It means the domains are aligning such that they are cancelling each other. Can you see that really? Hello?
Video is
Yes,
off.
sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
This, one domain is cancelling the other. Next, third domain is cancelling fourth one. Fifth domain is cancelling sixth one. It means the groups of atoms paramagnetic behavior combined together that make a domain. One domain is opposed by other domain. Effectively, there is a good cancellation. It is not really behaving like ferromagnetic material. It is called antiferromagnetism. A typical example for antiferromagnetic material is manganese oxide. In some materials, there are domains, but they are not exactly cancelling. You see, upward arrows are 1, 2, 3, 4. Downward arrows are 2. It means there is still net attraction. This type of behavior is called ferrimagnetism. So the ferrimagnetism, antiferromagnetism, ferromagnetism are combined effects of the magnetic behavior of all the atoms. So many atoms will make group. The group magnetic behavior is represented by a domain. If all the domains support each other, that is ferromagnetic, like iron, cobalt, nickel. If each domain is cancelled by other domain, it is called antiferromagnetic. If the cancellation is not perfect, it is called ferrimagnetic. There are three behaviors. Can you see? The first one is iron, cobalt, nickel. The second one is MnO. The third one is the mixed oxide of iron, Fe3O4, or it can be ferrates. Ferrates means what? MgFe2O4, magnesium ferrate, zinc ferrate. The Fe3O4 and ferrates are examples for this type of behavior known as ferrimagnetic. So these are magnetic behaviors. There is one interesting question. Somebody is attracted by external magnetic field. We say it is paramagnetic. But how to measure how much paramagnetism it has? The amount of paramagnetism it has can be measured in terms of Bohr magnetons. What are the units of, sir? Bohr?
Bohr magnetons.
I will write down here. Bohr, okay. Bohr magneton. What is this Bohr magneton means? One Bohr magneton is given by EH by 4 pi m.
Sir, cannot see.
E is the, can you see here?
Move it
Sir, make the camera horizontal, sir, so that we can see.
I will write down, man. What is there?
Right.
I have better idea. Actually, I changed the system today because some student told me that it is better. Who is that fellow
It's
told me?
nice, sir.
Yeah, you have to follow your instruction. I am always looking forward to
Sir,
hear.
write in plain book, sir.
Okay, sir. That also adopt. Now, what I am saying, sir, the Bohr magneton 1 Bm is equal to EH by 4 pi mc. E is the charge of electron, H is a Planck's constant, pi is 22 by 7, m is the mass of electron. This is a unit, Bohr magneton is a unit for magnetic attractability. And it is equal to 9.274 into 10 to the power minus 24 joules per Tesla. What is Tesla? You check up with your physics teacher. Or you can say it is equal to 9.274 into 10 to the power minus 24 ampere meter square. These are the units of Bohr magneton in terms of amperes. Mind you that this is the unit to measure how nicely a material is attracted by external magnetic field called Bohr magneton. See, the magnetic field is caused by electron spin, whether it is plus half or minus half, also by orbital motion. Of these two, mainly magnetic field is caused by electron spin. So more is the number of unpaired electron, more is the magnetic moment. You can calculate the magnetic moment, mu, using a formula root of n into n plus 2, where n is the number of unpaired electrons. Unit is Bohr magneton. Example, what is the magnetic moment of, say, chromium plus 3 ion? What is mu of chromium plus 3? Using spin-only formula, calculate. That's the instruction. So, first of all, chromium, I should know atomic number 24. The moment you say chromium, I should write its configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6.
4s1, 3d5.
3D, I will fill later on. 4s1, 3d5. Moment is root of 3 into 3 plus 2. Bohr magnetons.
Root 15.
Root 15. Bohr magnetons. Root 15 is equal to 3.98 Bohr magnetons. Are we very clear, sir?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So whenever they give me atom or ion, first I should write the electronic configuration. I should carefully see how many unpaired electrons it has. If it has n unpaired electrons, magnetic moment is equal to root of n into n plus 2. That unit is Bohr magneton. One Bohr magneton is equal to 9.274 into 10 to the power minus 24 joules per Tesla or ampere meter square. So this is a note on magnetic behaviors. Solids can show interesting magnetic behaviors. Sir, CrO2 is a wonderful material. It is such a good magnetic material it has. In fact, it is used to make tapes of tape recorders. You know, tape recorder is having a tape, magnetic tape. Do
Yes,
you know
sir.
there are magnetic tapes in your computer too?
Yes, sir.
Computer, the magnetic tapes which can record the sound. They are made with CrO2. Nowadays, so many chips have come. Until recently, they were using, the magnetic tapes. So many materials show interesting magnetic behaviors. Are we very clear about it, sir?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Yes, sir.
So this is a note on. Can you give examples for ferromagnetic materials? Everybody knows iron, cobalt, nickel as ferromagnetic materials. But notice that gadolinium is an element that can show ferromagnetic nature. Gadolinium. Iron, cobalt, nickel, gadolinium, CrO2. All these are ferromagnetic, strongly attracted by magnets. Gadolinium. Antiferromagnetic materials, one important example is MnO. Examples for ferrimagnetic material is Fe3O4 and ferrites like magnesium ferrate and zinc ferrate. Notice whether it is ferromagnetic, antiferromagnetic, or ferromagnetic. When you heat, the domains get separated, all they become paramagnetic. That's very important to notice. Okay, sir? Name any few oxides that behave like metal in electrical conductance. Titanium oxide, TiO, CrO2, rhenium oxide, ReO3, all show metallic conduction. In fact, the conduction of ReO3 is so fantastic, it is same as metallic copper in conductance and also in looks. Also, I want you to notice VO, very, very important. VO, vanadium oxide, VO2, vanadium dioxide, VO3, vanadium trioxide, TiO3, titanium trioxide. These show either metallic or insulating or semiconducting property depending on the temperature. So what materials electrical conductance depend on temperature? VO, VO2, VO3, TiO3. What materials of metal oxides show metallic conduction? TiO, CrO2, ReO3. These are some questions I want you to notice. Hello, sir. Can you hear me? Hello.
Yes, sir.
So all this material I have sent, NCRT book I have sent, and what else I can do for you, sir? You have to read the lesson. I think I give clarity about electrical and magnetic properties. Any doubts on them, sir?
No, sir.
Hello.
No, sir.
Somebody asked me some message. I am not able to see. Somebody in chat box gave me one message. I want to see what he wants.
Sir, once that semiconductors, insulators, and conductors, once can you explain? Empty band, filled band.
I don't know. All the valence band, all the atoms of a element combine together to give molecular orbitals. So many molecular orbitals, if their energy difference is very low, they join together, they make something like a band. In this band, if it is fully filled with electrons, then it can't conduct. If it is partially filled with electrons, there is a gap. Therefore, the electrons can move within the band and it can cause conductance. Suppose there is all the molecular orbitals bands are fully filled, but anti-bonding molecular orbital bands are completely empty. Then anti-bonding molecular orbital band and the bonding molecular orbital band, if they are overlapping, there will be a situation like this. I will be showing you in NCRT. If there is a overlap between the empty band and filled band like this, second diagram, then the electrons can move, that is a conductor. Suppose if the filled band and the empty band are wide apart in space like this, then the electron cannot cross this barrier. This is called insulator. If the gap between the filled band and the empty band is narrow, that is a semiconductor. What is this band? The molecular orbitals, if so many molecular orbitals are very closely spaced, it looks like a band. This band is made by two different types of molecular orbitals, BMOs, ABMOs. If the bands formed by BMOs themselves are partially filled like this, there is a space for electron to move. If electron can move, it can conduct. Suppose if the band formed by molecular orbitals is full, but the band formed by anti-bonding molecular orbitals is empty, but they are overlapping, then it can conduct. If they are not overlapping widely apart with respect to energy, then this is insulator. They are different, but they are closely spaced. By rising temperature, electron may jump into empty band. Then that is a semiconductor. This way of explanation is given in NCRT book also. You can read and you can learn. This is band theory. Are we very clear, sir, now? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you have a doubt, you ask me 100 times. Don't
Sir,
get
one more you
irritated.
said no, sir. That average of groups.
Average of? Average of?
Average of valence electrons of groups is
See,
8.
normally the
4.
14th group elements, carbon, silicon, germanium, they have 4 valence electrons. They make 4 covalent bonds. In case of silicon and germanium, these 4 covalent bonds are not so strong. Therefore, the electrons in these can break and cause conductance to some extent. So silicon, germanium can behave like semiconductors, but they are weak semiconductors. Whenever there are 4 bonds formed by a central atom, there is a possibility for it to act as a semiconductor. But the silicon, germanium are poor semiconductors. Like silicon, germanium, which have 4 electrons in the valence shell, you want to generate 4 electrons in valence shell of atoms on an average. For example, if you take a 13th group element that has 3 valence electrons, if you have a 15th group element that has 5 valence electrons, if you combine these 2 atoms, 3 plus 5 average is 3 plus 5 by 2, 4. But they cannot make 4 effective bonds because one has 3 electrons, one has 5 electrons. That combination can generate a semiconductor. Another example, you take a 12th group element, zinc, cadmium, mercury, which has 2 valence electrons. You take a 16th group element, oxygen, sulfur, selenium, tellurium, which have 6 valence electrons. If you combine them, 2 plus 6 by 2, that is 4. Theoretically, on an average, they have 4 electrons, but one has 2 electrons, one has 6 electrons. They can't make effective bonds. Even that can behave like a semiconductor. So a combination of 12th and 16th group element or 13th and 15th group elements can give compounds which can act as semiconductors. Zinc sulfide, for example, is a such material. You can think of so many examples given in the book on this category. These are all semiconductors and they are really useful. That is an explanation once again. Are we clear now? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Once you support my explanation with a reading textbook, okay? And if required, I make a YouTube video on this. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir,
today
ma'am.
we have concluded this chapter. Tomorrow, only for doubt clarification, we take up page by page of the solid state and then I clarify the doubts.
Yes, sir.
Somebody has a message. Let me see what is the message. Sir, can ferrimagnetic be called paramagnetic because they have less attraction to external? No, ferrimagnetism is a collective property of so many domains. If the collective property of domains is there, you have to use term ferromagnetic, ferrimagnetic, antiferromagnetic. Paramagnetism is a property of individual atoms or ions. When a ferromagnetic material, ferrimagnetic material, antiferromagnetic material is heated, it will become paramagnetic. Okay, sir. In fact, the magnets lose their magnetic ability on heating. Okay, sir. Tomorrow we take up some problems and try to do them in the class. When an insulator is heated, can it be a conductor? Yes, it depends on the situation if you are breaking some bonds. But generally, by cooling metals, we make them superconductors. By heating metals, because of the random motion of electrons, their ability to conduct will drop. Therefore, all these detailed ideas about electrical conductance, your physics teacher will probably talk. Only I can give you elementary idea. That's what we can do in chemistry. We have a lot of portion. Really, though I love to talk on this subject, I can't. So, these are some very, very elementary ideas related to these behaviors. Tomorrow, exclusively doubt clarification. It will continue till everybody gets hands-on experience on every model problem in solid state. So far, we have learned 0.1%. 90% we have to learn by putting hard work. Read the book, enjoy doing it. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, can we close the meeting, sir, today?
Yes, sir.
Tomorrow
Yes,
the day after tomorrow we start a topic called solutions. Thank you.
Thank you.